What do you do when you run into a game that hits so many pleasure centers of your brain you want to tell everyone to play it, but comes with so much baggage that every bit of praise comes with a caveat? Do you choose to embrace these flaws and recommend it, or resist acknowledging its strong points and decry it? Well, if you're anything like me, then maybe you like to dance to Razor's Edge and do a bit of both. Montreal-based Thunder Lotus Games follows up their 2015 Norse-inspired Jotun with just that game, Sundered. Mixing fast and furious 2D character action with Metroid-style level and equipment progression, Sundered oozes not only style but craft thanks to both its hand-drawn character animations and meticulously painted backgrounds, which is all slathered in a heavy veneer of Eldritch horror. Sounds like a slam dunk, right? Not exactly, because that previously mentioned baggage is pretty heavy. Atrocious load times, random crashes, and a few less than successful design choices mar a game that at the end of the day I really like, and think more people should play. So, for my first review, let's talk about Sundered. As I mentioned before, Sundered is a 2D character action Metroidvania roguelike, placing you in the nimble shoes of Esh, a woman of probable Egyptian descent, who is spirited away into an ever-shifting subterranean world filled with ancient monstrosities and recent technological horrors, and whose only companion and main source of offense is the infamous and overtly sinister shining trapezohedron. If you're familiar with the works of one Howard Phillips Lovecraft, then you may have a good idea what that implies. Long story short, if Esh has any hope of escape, she must travel through regions scarred by a vicious war between the technophile Valkyries and the Eldritch-worshipping Eshkatan cult, to recover 7 Elder Shards and by extension, open a path to freedom. Sadly, Sundered falls a little short delivering on its promising narrative setup, with Esh serving as a silent protagonist and all exposition limited to the trapezohedron, which, in an admittedly fantastic design decision, only speaks in Raelian. See what I mean about every clever thing requiring a caveat? Wait, I did mention it's a roguelike, right? So yeah, let's talk about gameplay, and start with its more problematic aspects. Sundered is a roguelike with a twist, in that death is basically pointless. You don't lose XP, and there are no other penalties except for one. Every time you die, the entire world map changes. Kind of. In another clever design decision, the regions of Sundered are divided into sections that connect to one another, with these sections remaining in the same location after every world reroll. However, the rooms that fill them are reshuffled upon death, which is cool. It means that important areas like boss rooms and ability shrines remain static, while still changing the route to navigate to them. Unfortunately, the load time for this process is really bad, frequently taking anywhere from 45 seconds to over a minute to generate a new map layout. And that's not even taking into account the fact that the load time is only for a single region. Should you decide to explore a different area other than the one you most recently perished in, then prepare yourself for another protracted load time. But that's about the worst aspect of Sundered from a gameplay loop aspect. Otherwise, Esh will traverse the underground labyrinth, discovering ability shrines which in no specific order will grant a shield, a second jump, grappling hook, Oh, and a fucking energy cannon. Along with many others. With many of them improved through the trapezohedron skill tree, but it doesn't end there. Along with perks that provide both bonuses and penalties, collecting the Elder Shards allows Ash to use them to either corrupt her abilities or, conversely, destroy them, granting her improved abilities or special nodes in the skill tree, respectively, all to use in her quest to fend off hordes of enemies. And I do mean hordes. Enemy encounters aren't just limited to one or two opponents at a time. As you make your way through an area, a gong will sound occasionally, letting you know that a horde is incoming, and they won't stop until the gong does, or Ash dies. And each region has its own set of enemy types, from robotic turrets that can target you from multiple screens away to Eldritch magic casters that will trap you within barriers while the rest of the horde pits away at you. Eventually, though, you'll persevere and reach one of the 3 region bosses, which are amazing, larger-than-life Eldritch monstrosities, and a true joy to behold. Their massive scale, however, creates another issue. In order to accommodate the size of the bosses, the camera pulls back, leaving Ash a mere speck on the screen. That, coupled with the frantic nature of the fights, can leave some a bit lost as to where Ash actually is. A problem to be sure, but nothing game-breaking. Finally, after defeating each region's boss and depending on whether you decide to embrace or resist the allure of the Elder Shards and the trapezohedron's promises of power, Ash will face one of 3 possible final bosses and endings. In the end, Sundered, much like the trapezohedron, is a flawed gem. Flaws that many may be unable or unwilling to overcome, but those who do will find a fun, engaging, and ultimately beautiful game. This is the reason why I chose Sundered as my first official review. I think Thunder Lotus has the potential to produce some really great games moving forward. And I personally think it would be a shame to lose a development studio with such a refreshing and unique design and storytelling philosophy. So, if any aspect of what I've described regarding Sundered appeals to you, do yourself a favor and pick it up on Steam or the PlayStation Network.